Cross exhibition number 1 off the list for Syracuse men's basketball. A 101-73 win for Syracuse over Clarion. Welcome into the Cuse.com postgame show. Andrew Selover with Riley Underwood. And Riley, a big reason why the Orange put up 101 points today is Jaquan Carlos, who led the point guard position today for the Orange. Jaquan, kind enough to join us postgame here as he transfers into Syracuse and goes for a double-double in his first appearance in a Syracuse jersey. Jaquan, what was it about Adrian Autry and Syracuse in the offseason that led you to believe that this was the right landing spot out of the portal?
I think Coach Red, man, he had nothing but faith in me, and I know what he wants out of this program. And I just know the firepower we got with this team, our ceiling, and with the guys around me, they make me look better. I do the easy job. They make all the shots.
Jaquan, you were my player to watch before the game. You made me look like a smart guy. What was the key to be so successful today and get a double-double in the win?
That just shouts out to my teammates. We was playing together. We should have did a better job on defense, giving up 73 points, but that's just all to my teammates. The coaches put me in the right position, and those guys made a lot of shots today, so kudos to them.
Jaquan, congratulations on your first game and a double-double today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jaquan Carlos joins us here on the Cuse.com postgame show as Syracuse takes down Clarion, and he was a difference maker. We talk about the transition from Judah Mintz being the premier point guard last year to Jaquan Carlos. That's a guy that Syracuse fans are going to learn to love this year.
They are, and they're already learning in this game the double-double, and he was doing it all on the offensive end, on the defensive end, getting some steals, swinging that ball around, really changing the offense for Syracuse.
Not often that you would see a guy play over 30 minutes in a preseason exhibition, but it's hard to take Carlos off the floor. It feels like he's going to be the floor general all year long for Syracuse.
When you take him off the floor, you're kind of missing that true point guard, a guy that can facilitate and can also score the ball at all three levels.
Carlos could not only score, he could also assist. That's what he's known for, is assisting, not scoring, but he flashed the ability to get to the hoop and put it in the bucket as well today. Carlos and the Orange take down Clarion in the first exhibition. We'll be back after this to break down all the highlights from the win. Syracuse victorious in exhibition 1 of 2 to start the 2024-25 season. The Orange take down Division II Clarion inside the Dome. Welcome back to the Cuse.com postgame show. Andrew Selover alongside Riley Underwood as Syracuse victorious for the first time this season, albeit in an exhibition. And the big storyline coming in, so many new faces for the Orange fans to look out for and to watch for the first time in live action today. Let's check out how it went down inside the Dome. A couple of big freshman recruits, a couple of big transfers, and it was really a guy that came onto the stage late in recruiting, and Peter Majstorovic, that got the first bucket.
Peter Majstorovic got the start, got the bucket as well. He had a good first game, solid, nothing too special. And Eddie Lampkin, he was special tonight. 8.7 boards, a menacing presence inside.
That's a guy that Syracuse fans have been talking about for a long time, and so is Donnie Freeman, the top recruit for Syracuse this season. He was showing off, and yes, he can throw it down.
Donnie throwing down the dunks. He got inside good in the first half. You would have liked to see him get inside a little bit more in the second half as well.
Some news before the game that Chris Bell wasn't in the starting lineup, perhaps a surprise, but he knocks down the 3 off the bench. Clarion struggled from behind the three-point line today, and Syracuse would be a little bit better from behind the 3 line. That's Chris Bell, and that's the guy that the Orange want, shooting it from deep.
That's what he does. Chris Bell hits from deep. That's what you know him for, and that's why he was the returning leading three-point shooter in the ACC.
Eddie Lampkin was showing off not only his ability to score, but also his vision. Gets the double team here, feeds it out to J.J. Starling. Mighty efficient afternoon for Mr. Starling.
This was one of many great assists by Lampkin, and J.J. Starling did have a really efficient day.
Syracuse offensively, more of Chris Bell. He can just put it in the bucket from deep with the best of them in the country, not only the ACC. Clarion would give Syracuse a little bit of a fight back as Clarion stayed tight with the Orange for a little bit, and before the half and into the early stages of the second half, the Golden Eagles would get out and run. But Syracuse defensively, the Orange were just the better team in transition. How about that no-look pass, freshman to freshman?
And how about that block beforehand? You can't discount that. A great play in transition. Get out playing fast for the Orange.
First game of year 2 under Adrian Autry complete, with Dan Engelstad in his first game joining the coaching staff, and the Orange take it 101-73 in the exhibition. Syracuse, the better team from behind the three-point line. The Orange takes 73 shots today, and the rebounding, not too bad either.
Yeah, they played pretty fast, and you would have liked to see him hold Clarion, a D2 opponent, to less than 73 points. But when you're scoring 101, you can't complain too much.
For you defensively, is there one spot where the Orange struggled today?
I think it was defending the inside. They were so focused on defending the outside shooting. It seemed like that inside, that mid-range, kind of went under the radar.
So Syracuse gives up 73, but you also score 101. That's the first time since 2020 that the Orange have put up 101. A big talking point about the new guys coming in, but also the returners, Chris Bell, J.J. Starling. Those guys were the two starters from last season that came into the game as starters for this game. And Chris Bell didn't start, J.J. Starling did, but even off the bench, Chris Bell is still an offensive weapon.
They were expected to score and score often, and they did. That's exactly what they need from these two guys, and it's what we're going to expect to see as them being older guys, being a mentor to these newcomers.
So J.J. Starling and Chris Bell are the only two returning starters from last year. Obviously, Judemans goes to the professional levels, but a couple guys also transfer out, and that's where the transfers come in. Chris Bell, we talked about it. Surprising to not see him starting, but also it's an exhibition, so I don't think that's a huge storyline for Syracuse, because everybody's going to play. You know that. Syracuse played double-digit guys even before they brought the walk-ons in down the stretch. But Chris Bell's shooting ability, I think you could say it's probably gotten even better from behind the arc in the offseason.
He went 50%, and all his shots were threes, but when you score in 16 points, that's what you want from him. J.J. Starling had a good game, too. 5 rebounds. He was kind of doing it all, and though he wasn't necessarily the focus on offense, he scored the most points.
Yeah, 7 of 9, not too
bad. Nothing.
Yeah, that's only a very high shooting field goal percentage, much better than anyone else on the floor today. So J.J. Starling, known for his efficiency, Chris Bell, known for his ability to score the ball from behind the arc. Syracuse needed some help down low after last season. Eddie Lampkin, one of the big newcomers for Syracuse that was showing off today.
And he did a good job of it. We expected big things from the big man, and we got it. He got 7 boards. That was a point of emphasis. The rebounding, very bad last year for the Orange, but he did it, and he can do it inside. He's a bruiser.
Is there one part of Eddie Lampkin's game that you thought was surprising to see today?
The passing, definitely, Andrew. We know he can do it all. He's a big guy that can do multiple things on the floor, but he did have those couple nice passes. A pass led to the and one, and just swinging the ball around. He has good vision and good instincts.
And how about Donnie Freeman? Misses the shot, and Lampkin follows it up. Those offensive boards could be huge when it comes to top-tier competition this season. Lampkin, one more for good measure. Yeah, he's got the skills to throw it down. And just too much size for Clarion to defend today.
Yeah, too much size for them to defend. And Juan Carlos, obviously, we see him again here. The double-double. He really set the table for everyone else around him. Lampkin, J.J. Starling, Chris Bell, no one has that good of a game if Carlos is not running the point.
He's really the table setter, and I think the points might start to slide a little bit as the season goes on, because you don't need Juan Carlos to score, I don't think, if you're Syracuse. You just care about him setting everybody else up. You've got other scorers to worry about.
And he does set everyone else up, but the thing is, he's not just a guy that can set everyone else up. He can score if he needs to.
So Juan Carlos does it all today with a double-double, and he was also helping set up the freshmen. Their first time playing in the Dome in live action today. A couple of freshmen showing off. We mentioned Donnie Freeman. Elijah Moore started to get in a groove as the game wore on, too.
I'd like to see a little more out of Elijah Moore in the future, but we did see him step up in that second half. Went 2 for 5. All of his shots were 3-pointers, and that's what he's known for. Donnie Freeman, in the first half, really good game. The second half kind of looked like he got a little lazy, just settling for those outside shots. You really want to see, especially as a young guy, instill that you want him to get into the lane and take some more good shots.
And I know Eric Devendorf talked about it on the broadcast. We're still waiting to see that Elijah Choppa Moore celebration after the 3.
I'm sure it'll come in due time.
All right, maybe exhibition number 2 will be time to show off the new celebration for Elijah Moore. Plenty to celebrate today as the season gets underway for Syracuse, and the Orange handle business about Clarion. As basketball season kicks off here in Syracuse, so many sports are in the midst of their season. It is a busy time to be a Syracuse sports fan as Syracuse men's basketball begins its season with an exhibition win today. Back here on the Postgame show, glad to have you with us. We talk about Syracuse basketball starting its season, but a lot of teams that started in the fall are winding down their regular season. Same can be said for Syracuse men's soccer, who had 2 games left in the regular season headed into last night. The Orange had work to do if they wanted to make the NCAA tournament, and it was a tough test last night on the road at the home of the reigning national champion Clemson. Our Nicholas Whaley joins us live here in studio to talk about the matchup.
Well, thanks, Andrew. I know a lot of eyes were on that incredible World Series Game 1 last night, but there was, like you mentioned, a pivotal game, ACC matchup between Clemson and Syracuse last night, and it really didn't go the way the Orange planned. Syracuse were without their captain, their leader, their minutes leader, Sam Layton. He was missing because of a suspension against UVA, and Clemson made no mistake. Dominic Bell coming into that back line, opened the scoring within just 2 minutes, was Alex Meinhard, and it got from bad to worse for Syracuse. Michael Aqua sends off with a straight red card for violent conduct. He might not just miss the next game against Pittsburgh, but also possibly the first ACC tournament game. Against 10 men, Clemson just kept picking up the pieces and just kept punishing Syracuse, not just on counterattacks, on set pieces throughout. Wambu Musa got the second goal for Clemson, and then Meinhard got his second and then third before halftime. Ezra Widman got Syracuse on the board before the break, but that was the only goal Syracuse would score all night. 2 goals from set pieces will be a big disappointment for Coach McIntyre. This is something that a set piece goal, especially not to happen just once but twice, it is pivotal and a big disappointment. That 6th goal meant it was the worst defeat under Coach McIntyre's stewardship in his 15 seasons at the helm. It's the most goals allowed in a match for Syracuse since 2019. That was against Clemson at home, 7-4 on that occasion. And the last 2 games have been an absolute disaster for Syracuse, combined score between this game and the UVA game of 9 goals to 1. And look, that was the penultimate game of the season. It does seem like Syracuse, their hopes of an NCAA tournament berth is slowly fading away, and their next opponent for the final game of the season, it could not get much tougher than the number 1 team in the ACC. Number 5, Pittsburgh, Louis Samko and company are coming to town on Friday. That one at 7 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network Extra. This is a Pitt team that had a bit of a stumble in the middle just a few weeks ago, lost to High Point and Cal by 1-0, but since then have knocked off a win against number 7 UNC and most recently a 4-1 win against UVA. Syracuse need to win that one to guarantee a spot in the NCAA tournament. Pitt, a win for them, or at least a draw on Friday, means they will clinch the ACC regular season title. Make sure to join me and our friend Sam Reese on the call for that one on Friday. Andrew, back to you.
Nicholas, looking forward to it. Not looking good for Syracuse men's soccer and their NCAA tournament hopes right now. And Nick was right. I was busy watching his Dodgers win last night in the World Series and not that men's soccer clash. Let's get you caught up on everything else going around with Syracuse sports as well. As we mentioned, a busy time of year to be an Orange fan. We've got soccer, we've got volleyball, we've got field hockey, all coming down the home stretch of the ACC run, Riley.
Should be exciting to watch, especially that field hockey match against the number 8 team in the country in Connecticut. That football game on Thursday, though, not too pretty for Orange fans.
Yeah, 5 interceptions was pretty ugly for Syracuse football. They'll try and get back in the win column this coming weekend as well against Virginia Tech, as both of the soccer teams finish out their regular seasons this week, too. I turn to you, Riley, as they finish the regular season, not only in soccer, but we're talking volleyball, field hockey as well. What are your postseason predictions for all of these Syracuse teams?
Well, everything's still up in the air, but we'll start off with football. I'm thinking the Duke's Mayo Bowl. They're most likely going to be playing a Big Ten team in that. I'd say you could go with a higher bowl slot, but after that showing against Pittsburgh, not really sure what to expect. Duke had that slot last year. For men's soccer, I think you're looking to maybe put up a fight in the ACC tournament, but you really needed to win that game against Clemson to go in the NCAA tournament. Women's soccer, they're out of the postseason for both the NCAA NCAA and the ACC. For field hockey, this is going to be a team to watch. Top 15 in the nation, but one thing, they have struggled against ranked opponents throughout the year. Volleyball, they started off strong, but then they haven't won a game in ACC play, 0-9. So I don't think we're going to see any postseason implications for them.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl, you say?
Duke's Mayo Bowl. Hey, we may see Fran Brown getting the badge.
I think that's what you're hoping for, right? I think that would be fun to watch. That is always a fun bowl game to be a part of. I'm hoping for the Pop-Tarts Bowl myself because of that great mascot. All those teams coming toward the end of their regular season. Basketball season just getting started. We'll preview the schedule for the men and the women next. Basketball season officially begins today in Syracuse, New York. Orange men's team take down Clarion 101-73 in the first exhibition of the season. Andrew Selover, Riley Underwood, back with you here on the postgame show. And we've also got to talk about the women's team because in just 3 days, Syracuse women's basketball plays its first exhibition of the season against Damon. We've got Grace Piacco joining us in the studio to talk about how the Orange replace Deasia Fair and how this season looks ahead.
The Syracuse women's basketball team is back with a fresh lineup and high ambitions despite 11th place preseason ranking in the ACC. Led by captains Georgia Woolley, Angelica Velez, Sophie Burrows, and Kyra Wood, the Orange are ready to embrace new roles and build on last season's success. Syracuse has a challenging schedule this season featuring 12 games against teams projected for the NCAA tournament, including 9 ACC opponents. The Orange will face strong ACC teams, Notre Dame, the preseason favorite, Duke, Louisville, and North Carolina, along with ACC newcomer Stanford, a powerhouse that hasn't missed the NCAA tournament since 1987. This demanding schedule offers Syracuse a prime chance to prove itself among the nation's elite. A significant challenge for Syracuse this season is filling the void left by Deasia Fair, who graduated last year. Fair was a key player for the team both on and off the court. Stepping into a leadership role is Georgia Woolley, who averaged 13.8 points per game last season. She focused this offseason on improving her defense, shot mechanics, and ball handling to become a dual threat for the team. Joining her is LSU transfer Angelica Velez, ready to make an impact, despite just averaging 4.9 minutes per game last season. Training with stars like Flaw J. Johnson, Haley Van Lith, Velez is prepared to contribute significantly to Syracuse's success. With motivated leaders and a tough schedule ahead, Coach Felicia Leggett-Jack and the Orange are ready to make waves, starting with the exhibition game against Damon Tuesday at 7 p.m. Guys, back to you.
All right, Grace, excited to get the women's season underway as well after an exciting finish to last year in the NCAA tournament. Not an easy start to the season for the women's schedule either. You saw it with Grace there. It was a tough matchup last year against Maryland. They've got Maryland coming to Syracuse this season.
Really interested to see who picks up the slack in women's basketball. It's kind of just like the men. Judah Mintz, your leading scorer, leaves. Deasia Fair, your leading scorer, leaves for the women's team, and they have some challenges coming up.
Yeah, for the men, number 19 Texas in that Legends Classic should be a real good test, but don't overlook Colgate because, boy, the Raiders have given Syracuse plenty of challenges in the last few years.
That's what's going to get you, is looking forward to that Legends Classic down in New York City. Colgate, a really good team. The Raiders always play the Orange good in the Dome.
And I think if Syracuse can at least get one of two in the Legends Classic, you've got Texas and then you've got either Texas Tech or St. Joe's, you'll be pretty happy with that, right?
I think you will, especially if you're playing that St. Joseph's team. Not a very good non-Power 4 team. I think you got to win that game, but if you're playing Texas, that's a big game, going to be on national television, get you a chance to play, likely, the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
I'm sure 4-1 Syracuse fans are pretty okay with. 5-0 would be the dream start, and obviously Tennessee in the ACC SEC Challenge after that. Final thoughts from today, Riley, after Syracuse gets its first exhibition out of the way.
Putting up 101 points is always a good thing, Andrew. The offense was flowing. I liked how they played fast. They facilitated. They wasn't the last year's Syracuse team where just give it to one guy and let him go into the paint. This was a team that swung the ball around, letting everyone score. They had 4 scores above double digits, and I think that's something we can see continue throughout the season.
One thing you're hoping to see in exhibition number 2?
looking to see more from more guys. I think we've seen the starters that played. I'd like to see what Chris Bell could do if he's inserted in the starting lineup, and I'd like to see what this new starting lineup is going to be for the next game.
Well, I tell you what, Chris Bell off the bench might be pretty good too, because he couldn't miss today from three, right?
Maybe that's the key right there.
I don't think that they'll keep him on the bench, but maybe it'll help. Who knows? You'll always take good shooting from Chris Bell, and also his returning co-part in J.J. Starling today. It was great as well, as Syracuse takes down Clarion in the first exhibition 101-73. With Riley Underwood, our producer Terrence Murphy, I'm Andrew Selover saying thanks for joining us. Basketball season officially underway.